Hello, Christian, and welcome to my 13 horrifically silly days of Halloween. Actually, this is the bonus blog post for the Day of the Dead, November 1st, but welcome.
Thank you, Reagan. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. And if you would, could you please give me a summary of what the Toronto After Dark Film Festival is all about?
Sure. Sort of in my own words, the Toronto After Dark Film Festival is an annual showcase of horror, action, sci-fi movies predominantly, and pretty much a mix of genres in between. So we just wrapped our 14th edition just this past Friday on the 25th. So we're getting into year 15 now, so it makes you feel really older. So yeah, it's a great little festival. It's, considering there's about 130 film festivals held annually in Toronto, it's pretty much the only genre-specific festival from what I know. That's how it started.
Right.
By our festival director, Adam Lopez, started in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the Midnight Madness program for TIFF, there isn't just a genre horror-specific film festivals.
No, certainly not at the time. You've been joined by those such as Blood in the Snow Film Festival and such like that. But yeah, I know you were setting a trend.
Yeah, Blood and Snow being I forgot their Canadian genre stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So it's not the same. All right. Well, along those lines, how was your year this year?
From what I understand, I was more behind the scenes, unfortunately, this year than most. But I did go a little bit, not as much as I'd like, but it went extremely well. We haven't had a wrap-up meeting or any of the reports to come in yet, still early days.
Right.
But the feedback I do a lot of publicity for the festival as well. So a lot of coverage, a lot of people are happy. Social media explodes during those nine nights.
Right.
So, so far from what I gather, so good.
Yes. Terrific. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite horror comedy of all time that was programmed at the Toronto After Dark Film Festival?
Oh, the Toronto After Dark Film Festival. Well, I've only been programming since 2011 as like an official programmer.
Okay.
I went originally as a fan originally. I got involved because I worked for a company that sponsored it in its first year. So I went, I was like, oh, cool, a genre festival. Oh, cool. And we were sponsoring it. Amazing. I'm going to go. So, yeah.
Right.
And then just got to know Adam and, basically that's how I got involved.
Terrific.
I would say, ironically, my favorite year for programming is probably the earlier years. Not saying that anything's worse today, but my first year we programmed, I think I mentioned to you earlier, there was a great horror comedy called Some Guy Who Kills People. We had in 2011.
Yes.
And that's probably one of my favorite. There's also another film called Cheap Thrills. I think that was 2013. That's a really nice, dark, delicious comedy with Pat Healy and I forget some other actors in it. But yeah, Some Guy Who Kills People. I remember specifically reaching out to Ryan Levin, who is the writer and producer, and saying, hey, could we get a screener for this film? Could we take a look? And he said, I remember, that's why I probably remember him most, because he responded with saying, why would you want to play in a film? Like, you want to screen it? And I thought and I said, yeah, I watched the trailer and I think it looks fantastic. It's a delicious, dark comedy. It spoke to me. I love these types of movies. And I think, and they play well with their audience.
Yep.
So, Toronto definitely has a horror comedy appetite. Mm-hmm. So, can we have a look? And he was like, okay. And he was a little unsure. It was interesting. But Ryan has a very, I can tell he's obviously Los Angeles based, but he has a very similar sense of humor to mine. Yeah. So that's why I think why we clicked. Me being British, I have a little bit more of a dry sense of humor, a little bit more sarcastic sense of humor. So, but yeah, I watched the film and I'm like, this is terrific. And it's actually why it stands out is because that year was a very strong year for genre. Mm. And originally it didn't make our final selection cut.
Right.
Originally, we kind of had to let it go. Not because it was bad or anything.
No, but it's,
yeah, we don't, where can we put this movie? Mm-hmm. So then Adam reconsidered because we really wanted to play it.
Yes.
And it's the only time, I don't think we've ever done it since, that we played I think it was a 1 o'clock screening on a Sunday.
Wow.
Not in the morning, like lunchtime.
Yeah.
I remember I was up really late the night before, and I was coming into Toronto. I don't live in town, so I was driving into Toronto, very sleep deprived, and going, okay, I can't wait to show this movie. And yeah, the screening went really well, and it was probably one of the highest ranked. A little audience choice, like little tickets they get to rate the film from 1 to 5. So I do remember that. Probably why it stands out,
Yeah.
because it was like my first year programming, and then getting the film, and then it ultimately didn't make the original cut, but then it did because we really, really loved the film and wanted to screen it. So there you go.
Oh, terrific. Can
Yeah.
you tell me a little bit about the its plot?
Yeah, I actually, because we talked about it the other day, I meant to rewatch it, but I haven't had a chance to because it's been a while. Essentially, it's about it's Kevin Corrigan. You probably know him from. He's probably one of the, you don't recognize the name, but when you see him, you go,
Right.
that guy.
Yes.
Yes, and he plays a sort of a comic book writer who was bullied in his younger years,
Mhm.
and he lives in a town. He lives at home with his mom, played by Karen Black, and he's very friendly with like the sheriff, played by Barry Bostwick. So, and then he sort of gets a love interest. I forget the English actress's name, but she's been in a lot of things. And then there's some mysterious murders happening within the town,
Okay.
and ultimately, I don't, you know, it's got a real tongue-in-cheek to it, but the mirrors kind of echo some of the comic book kind of stuff. So
Oh,
I have a great T-shirt from the film. It's almost like a comic book panel. It's like some guy who kills people. It's like a guy in an ice cream man costume with a giant knife. So so yeah, it's a great ride because, you know, I think there's been a lot of films where, you know, mothers and sons relationships, and then, you know, getting into shenanigans with trying to have a romantic relationship, things like that. So
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of a la Psycho sort of thing, with except, well, not
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a
that
little bit
far.
more comedy. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, like I respect comedy because it's probably one of the hardest genres to do. And
Absolutely.
if you do a horror comedy, that's even harder to do, I think.
Although
So
they do dovetail nicely, the two, they're sort of the two extremes in a way
yes,
of
yes,
visceral feeling. Yeah.
yeah, because again, you kind of equal. You know, some people obviously don't have the same sense of humor, but you're balancing that kind of humor with the kills. You know,
Yes.
everyone wants the gore, like the horror part. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
And also, yeah, I forgot that one of the key aspects is because Kevin has a daughter in the film, and
Oh,
there's a great, not only the father and mother relationship, it's a father and daughter relationship.
yes.
And
Right.
the daughter has a great rapport with her dad. Like she's not some little kid, like a
Mm.
throwaway part or something like that. She's actually really witty, really smart, keeps her dad in check. So yeah, it's a really great film. I gotta rewatch this film tomorrow.
All right. Terrific. And
Yeah.
I will check it out too. Now, is there a particular horror comedy from this year's lineup? I know the festival just ended, but that
Yeah.
you would recommend that folks go and see?
I'd say hands down our the best horror comedy this year would be our opening night film, which was The Extraordinary. It's
Yes.
sort of an Irish supernatural comedy
Ooh.
that I saw back in May and immediately fell in love with it.
Yeah.
It's so endearingly sweet and funny and not over the top in terms of horror, but ridiculously sweet. Like the characters you just love, and it has Will Forte playing a bad guy, and
Okay.
his character arc. He plays a sort of he plays a musician who's had one hit. He's a one-hit wonder. And he's
Mhm.
been trying to have a successful career and never matched the success of this one hit he did. So he makes a pact with the devil to sort of resurrect his career again,
Oh,
and he needs a virgin to get that done. And so the lead actress, I forget her name. It's horrible for me to forget, but she's an Irish actress, and she has sort of she's kind of a medium. Like she has some supernatural qualities for her, but she's also a driving instructor,
mm.
also dealing with the death of her father.
Oh,
And then she's kind of a humble, homey type woman, and then she gets hired by this recently widowed, with the male, you know, lost his wife,
right.
and
Okay.
dealing with supernatural. Then they get caught up because his daughter is now the object of, you know, being targeted by Will Forte's character.
Oh,
So get
okay.
into a bit of shenanigans, and there's some laugh out loud stuff. But like hands down, like the three characters, Will Forte, the lead actress, and the lead actor, like fantastic. And I remember reaching out to Adam. I said, watch this film because this is perfect for our opening night.
Oh, okay.
Sets the stage for the rest of the festival. So yeah,
Oh, terrific.
yeah.
Terrific. Now, stepping outside of Toronto after dark for a bit, I wanted to ask you about some older B movie style
Mhm.
horrors. That some are funny on purpose and some not so much. And you mentioned to me, perhaps if we could go with the ones funny on purpose, things such as Peter Jackson's Dead Alive and
Sure.
Bad Taste. Please, go ahead. Tell me what you
Go
think.
go go nuts with my rambling. Okay.
Yes, do
Um,
it.
Peter Jackson is an interesting filmmaker because I'm 47 years old, so watching movies in the early 90s is a different experience. I worked at 9 years in a video store. I kind of was a video store kid, like kid
Oh,
from the
cool.
80s, watching all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So watching, like we didn't have internet back then. Like
Mm,
that's the way you heard about movies is sort of magazines like Fangoria and like the genre stuff, and then word of mouth, and then friends would see something, or film festivals, because TIFF was still around back then. And I remember Peter Jackson's, I believe it was Bad Taste,
that's the
and
first one. Yeah.
driving to, what was it, Dead Alive? I think it was Dead Alive, but Bad Taste, are very similar, a couple years apart. But I
Yeah,
think it was
they're
more
close.
Dead Alive actually. But driving to a Hollywood Video in Mississauga, I live in Burlington,
Okay, yeah.
and because they're the only store that had it, and it's about a half-hour drive from me. So,
Oh, jeez.
and you had to go, like you didn't have internet, so I can go, I can go find it online or something. And I remember renting it and going, holy crap, like what
Mhm.
is this movie? And growing up, I was never a big horror guy. My sister was, not me.
Oh,
And kind of just falling in love with just not only the humor, because it's something about New Zealand filmmakers as well, Australian
oh,
filmmakers
yeah.
with their sense of humor, but also the love of practical effects, like completely over the top, that I don't think I've ever seen something around that time. Because I wasn't, obviously, as I mentioned, I wasn't a big horror fan. My best friend was as well, but not being subjected to a lot of like, apart from the iconic stuff like the Friday the 13th, the
Yeah.
Nightmare, the usual stuff, the staple stuff, but
Mhm.
like finding these guys and like Peter Jackson going, what is this?
Yeah, yes.
And if you remember, like the iconic, I know you mentioned Bad Taste, but Dead Alive being
Still alive, yeah.
the ultimate part where I forget the character's name, but he walks into and his party's over line with the
Yeah.
lawnmower, and
Lawnmower,
yeah, and
lawnmower
just like
stuff.
lets rip on all the zombies in the front hallway,
Mhm.
and it was just like so creative. And the same thing about Bad Taste, because um, I saw that. I don't remember where I saw it first, but probably one of the other kind of Kickstarts you love to find out what else has Peter Jackson done, right?
That's
So,
right,
and then
yes.
also that kind of led into Meet the Feebles as well.
Oh,
And
yes, which is, not a horror exactly, but
no, no, it's
certainly
not.
some sort of crazy, dark Muppet genre.
Yeah, it's like watching Muppet Show or Sesame Street on crack.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so
That's his tagline, isn't
dementedly, like it's
it?
bizarre. And I got a bootleg VHS off a friend of mine who taped it from a Japanese laserdisc. That's
Oh,
how we
wow.
got movies back then.
Yeah.
So, but it was just like same with Bad Taste. And when you find out that Peter Jackson was just some, independent, Kiwi filmmaker making movies with his friends on weekends because
Yep.
they didn't have the time or the money to do it. And I think Bad Taste was shot similar to like Sam Raimi's Evil Dead over the course of like
Yes.
3 years or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I think you're
and
right
you can
about
see
that.
it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go
You're
ahead.
right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like like kind of just, yeah, we got some free time. Let's go shoot some more stuff.
Yep.
And that's why you kind of like love and seeing like the Bad Taste and some of the effects they pull off.
Oh,
And they don't
yeah.
have a lot of money. Like wow. And I
No.
think that's sort of a testament to independent filmmaking, because just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you can do stuff. Like sometimes if you have less money, it makes you more creative.
Indeed.
So, and I think I appreciated that. And then when Peter Jackson made his first Hollywood movie, which was '96's The Frighteners, which I
Frighteners.
also love,
Yes.
but that movie bombed. Don't know why. It's a great movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Underrated, completely underrated.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
Michael J. Fox is fantastic in it. And then it's funny how he goes from doing that movie to doing the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That was his next films, so to speak.
Yeah, it was a
But
big jump there.
yeah, so it's amazing, best, congratulations to him, because look where he is now. Even though he hasn't done much lately, but anyway.
Yeah,
So
I think he's working away at something. It's just taking a long time, as sometimes that can happen. But
absolutely.
also, I will stick in here. This was not a horror comedy, although it might be. Like, there's definitely some fantastical moments in it, and that would be Peter Jackson's Heavenly Creatures.
Oh yeah, that's actually a movie I haven't seen in forever. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah, yes,
yeah.
that's
He tackled because that's based on a true story. So
yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit, but also a very dark story. You know, like about basically a friend who a couple of girls who become best friends, and one sort of persuades the other to murder her mother, right? So,
Yep.
but yeah, it's that's a good yeah. It's, trying to think of his earlier filmography. So yeah, it's good. That's a good call. Yeah, even though yeah, it's not a horror movie per se, but it's a true story, and
No,
and it's Kate Winslet's first film.
yes, that's right. Yes,
Yeah,
and,
so.
yeah, she was brilliant.
But yeah, just it's in a way. I hope that Peter Jackson kind of goes. Maybe he'll just throw together, some friends of his and make a nice low budget little schlocky horror comedy again. That would be nice.
I think the temptation would be there for him to do that sometime. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would think, and I would
One can
hope.
hope.
And just speaking also of Kiwi films
Hmm.
and horror comedies, have you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
Absolutely. Yes, I have it. I loved it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, like, there's
Yeah.
another one. Different Kiwi filmmakers. A little more recently, blowing up in Hollywood, Taika
Yes.
Waititi.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell me your thoughts on that one too. I love talking about that one.
Yeah. I haven't watched the TV show yet though, but I
Oh,
did
it's
watch
good.
the film.
Check it out.
But,
Check it out.
but yeah, I think I kind of it wasn't necessarily Taika's initial. It was Jermaine Clement. That's his name, right? And I think
Yeah,
the Concords, the Flying
yeah. Flight of the
Concords.
Conchords guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Flight of the Concords, because those kind of guys, I think I saw them at Massey Hall in Toronto. I remember with some
Mm,
friends, and I kind of liked them. Like these guys are funny,
yes, they
and
are.
then like very talented. And then they did this film, and I was like, oh, What We Do in the Shadows, and it was just brilliant satire. It's hilarious. Like taking. It's another one I need to rewatch. It's such a fun movie and such a good time. And I heard there's rumors of a sequel with the werewolves.
That's
So,
right. That's right. The
yeah.
werewolves who were actually like kind of stole their scenes
Yes.
when they were in the movie. They were terrific. So I'm looking forward to seeing a Kiwi werewolf movie from them. That would be great. Even like Australian filmmakers certainly have that oddball sense of humor too.
Yes.
But there's something very specific about the Kiwi sense of humor that I'm glad to hear that you appreciate.
I think
And I,
maybe the Kiwis are a bit more British than the Australians, even though the Australians are, obviously we're
I
still
think
British
perhaps
colonies, but
they are, and also they've got a similar thing going on to Canada with the big behemoth neighbor, ours being the States, and Australia, and they're at their end, and sort of like
hmm
maybe being shunned or like on the sideline somewhat. So I feel like there is a kinship between whether it's filmmakers or not, or just Kiwis and Canadians in general. I feel like there is a natural kinship there, and that there certainly is a Canadian sense of humor too.
yeah,
That stems also from Britain, and yeah, so I feel like we merge well. We
yeah,
we
absolutely, yeah. It was
keep
well definitely the sense of the sense of humor that the British have, as well as somewhat Canadian, and also there's the Australian and New Zealand. But so I love Australian filmmakers too. They're one of my favorite genre filmmakers.
Is
Is
there a
Australian.
particular film you wanted to mention
Um,
off the top of your head from Australia?
Yeah, I'll talk briefly about a film that I programmed in 2014 called
Oh,
Wormwood, um,
Wormwood.
from the Kaya and Tristan Roach Turner brothers.
Uh-huh.
This is a film that they did a little short film called Wormwood, same title, and but you didn't know what it was. It was like this really cool zombie film, and it was like Mad Max inspired and very inventive, very creative. It had this unique kind of energetic style that didn't let up, and what kind of sucked you in mostly. You know that didgeridoo kind of
Uh,
musical instrument that they like,
yeah, yeah.
and I was like, "What is this?" And I'm like, and I was emailing them trying to find a contact name contact name or email or phone number or something. I'm like, is this a teaser trailer to a movie? Like, does it a movie exist, or is it a short film, or what's going on? And they had been working on a film,
A full
funny
length,
enough,
right?
and there are similar circumstances where there are two brothers trying to make a movie, and it took them 3 years because they
Mhm.
didn't have the money, they didn't have the equipment. So any chance they had it, to get a camera came available, they would shoot on it. And that's why they didn't use one camera for the whole shoot. And what I just loved about the film is just how it's a zombie film, but I love zombie films.
Yeah.
And what I liked about it is that it brought a sort of a different spin on the genre, which I
Mm.
liked. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I feel like I might have actually, but I have to go check and see. Yeah.
It's readily available. It came out on, it's not on Netflix here, but it's on DVD and Blu-ray, and maybe it's on Amazon Prime, maybe.
Yeah.
But it was retitled Wormwood Road of Dead for North
Okay.
America. But I busted my ass and we programmed it, and we had a sold out screening, and it went really well. And people, it's just a fun road trip movie about
Mm.
a brother trying to find his sister who'd been kidnapped by these nefarious, government people working on zombie experiments. But what I loved about the twist on it, like I don't want to ruin it for you, but it was a nice welcome, sort of just something refreshing to the genre.
Which is good
You know?
because zombie genre, like it really is overplayed. So it's
Sure.
nice when people find a
Yeah,
refreshing twist. Yeah.
and it's funny. Like it actually has a unique kind of twist, and it's sort of practical in the sense of the film too. But
Oh,
just the humor, like there's some brilliant lines, there's some great characters in it. The zombie makeup's pretty fun. But those guys are another talent to watch because they did so much with a little budget. Their new film, obviously, probably a bigger budget, but you give these guys a little bit of money and see what they can do with it, because there
yes.
are a ton of people out there, even here in Canada, that I know that
Mhm.
would, like they're really talented if they only had the opportunity to have bigger budgets or access to better resources, right?
Mhm.
So then you can see what they could do. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, moving into a little bit the towards the B movies that are and horror comedies maybe aren't comedies on purpose, although this one is. You mentioned Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but that's definitely it's on purpose. The comedy there is on purpose, but it's definitely I would say a B movie. So would you like to?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. The movie came out in 1987, so it was sort of a staple when, obviously the video industry was blowing up in the 80s and rental stores and whatnot. So it was a different time that I could certainly relate to, because I certainly was a kid renting movies from the 7-Eleven, owning a VCR at a young age, and working in a video store in 1990. But I remember working in the video store. We actually had a VHS tape of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's how I knew about it.
Right.
And I don't think it got a theatrical release in Canada. If it did, that would blow my mind. But
Yeah.
I doubt it. But it was released on video, and I used to play it later at night in my store that I worked at. I worked for a Jumbo Video franchise,
Oh, right.
and
I remember
I
that.
remember customers coming in and saying, like, they point to the TV and would be saying, like, "What the hell are you watching?" And I'm like, "Killer Clowns from Outer Space." They're
Yeah,
like,
come
"Can
on.
you turn this off?" And I'm like, "No way!" Like, what do you mean turn it off? This is the best movie, because
And my eyes.
it's so entertaining. Like
Yes.
I haven't watched it since last Halloween, but because Arrow Video put a beautiful Blu-ray out. But it's sort of a guilty pleasure that just sort of it's not necessarily like, say, like, your top 10 favorite movies of all time, but it's a movie that when you see it on your shelf, or you hear someone talk about it, or you read about it online, that you go, yeah, that movie is just so fun. Was it supposed to be intentionally funny? I don't know. Maybe.
I feel like some parts of it were,
Yeah.
but maybe not everything. So
Yeah,
it's
because it is kind
satisfying.
of horrific. It kind of when Tim Burton talks about how he thinks clowns are the scariest thing on the planet, right? So there's
Right.
something about, or like, hell, we can talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Pennywise the clown. So there is a side of clowns that are sort of very frightening.
Mhm.
Um, but the sort of the premise of the film being sort of this, whether they're aliens disguised as clowns coming to Earth and then basically kidnapping, you know, human beings as a food source, and then just getting. But what I love about it is just the score, and then even like the opening song by the Dickies, and then just the practical love of makeup by the Shikoto brothers, who have done a ton of stuff in like Pee Wee's Big Adventure. I believe they were involved in. They done a lot of practical stuff, and even I find it hilarious that 30 years later, even though the movie wasn't a big success or wasn't a huge thing, I think people want a remake or a sequel. I
Mhm.
would love that, but there I think Halloween in Hollywood, like in Universal Studios, they have a big like Killer Clowns from Outer Space exhibit, or like some
Oh,
kind of
great.
something that goes on. I'm like, that'd be amazing.
Yes.
So there is still. It's funny how our nostalgic past is still celebrated today, even if it wasn't a huge success back then. But that's one thing I love the film. Like, it's just it's goofy, but not intense, not when you watch it going, oh, this movie sucks. It's just, it's ridiculous, but in the sense that it's just a fun movie. It knows exactly what it is and kind of just takes you on this ride.
That's right.
Along with what I mentioned earlier, with like just the great effects work and, you know, the cheesy acting and the cheesy dialogue. Plus, you got John Vernon playing this cop. And there is what stands out to me in terms of the horror aspect of the film. I don't know if you've seen it in a while, but there's one scene where John Vernon is killed, like he's killed off by one of the big clowns, and the clown uses John Vernon's body as like a ventriloquist dummy.
Oh,
You remember that?
right, yeah.
And it is kind of like, whoa, creepy.
Yeah.
So, but he's been killed. And yeah, and just some of the goofy stuff, like how the clowns, you know, they use a giant vacuum, you know, because they basically turn you into cotton candy. And then leave your bodies on the street, and then they have this giant like vacuums come around and collect your bodies and then put you on the spaceship. It's just a lot of fun. Like, it sounds absolutely like absurd talking about it, but I tell you, like when I told you about the jumbo video people going, like customers coming in, like, what are you watching? I'm like, can you turn this off? I'm like, no, this is fantastic.
It's too bizarre for some, but but
I say it's truly bizarre. It's truly bizarre for some, but appreciated by others.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, before I ask you my final question, any other B movies you wanted to mention in the killer clown vein before I move on?
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking about some of your questions. We sort of we wrote some emails back and forth, and I was trying to think of some other stuff that I can think about. And it's hard when you put people on the spot, kind of go, you know, what other films? Because, you know, we could talk about movies till the cows come home. But I'm trying to remember. I had a friend of mine sort of introduced me, not necessarily like a horror comedy, but like he's the one that introduced me to. He was a big Halloween fan.
Oh, Halloween movies.
Yeah, like the
Michael
original,
Myers,
especially the original. And I wasn't like, and I will say, like, the original Halloween still is a fantastic movie that it still holds up extremely well, considering it's like 41 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, there was another movie, and he was the one. He was a big Hellraiser fan too, like big Clive Barker like fanatic. My ex-girlfriend was a big Clive Barker fan too, so it was like something about that kind of genre where it deals with, you know, hell and it also sort of taps into like in the Mouth of Madness. John Carpenter's in like that kind of element, like Lovecraft, you know, that kind of stuff. Trying to think, what else are horror movies that see, that's where it is. You put me on the spot and I can't think.
Sorry.
Oh, okay, well, I got a couple. As sort of the same year as Killer Clowns from Outer Space would be Fred Decker's and Shane Black's Monster Squad.
Oh, yes. Long time since I've seen that one. Yeah,
it's just, you know, it's sort of in the same era of sort of like Goonies and like, you know, Kids on an Adventure movies, like sort of Amblin entertainment movies, but with a horror aspect. It's very light on horror, but it's so well done. It's a fun movie. Yeah. And then Fred Dekker went on to do sort of I love this movie. It's called Night of the Creeps.
Oh yes, and that's B movie level stuff, but it's but it's also funny and it also knows what it is. So
yeah. Like, it's, you know, like when Tom Atkins is in it, and he has that great line. He goes, "Girls, I got some good news and some bad news. You know, the good news is your dates are here. The bad news is they're dead."
Yeah. That was a laugh out loud moment for me. Yeah,
but the kills are good, that's what it's a testament to that era. I think you and I, or probably a lot of your viewers or a lot of your readers, are very spoiled upon, because the horror movies of today are not as fun per se as the ones we grew up on, because the effects are so give me practical any day.
Yeah. It's hard anyway.
You can talk about that for hours, but yet CGI is still supposed to be a tool, but yet that you cannot be.
Don't be a slave to it. Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. No. No, absolutely not. And on that note, one last question. Since this is the 13 horrifically silly days of Halloween, just wondering how you plan to spend Halloween, or how you usually spend Halloween.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any kids, or else I'd be taking them out for sure. Yeah. But I hear the weather is not supposed to be nice tomorrow, which is unfortunate. No. Like horrible weather I hear. So I think tomorrow I'm supposed to get together with a couple of friends. I know we're supposed to do that. We usually just watch, just grab a pizza or something light, and then we just watch a couple of movies. Nothing overly big. I know, waiting for my niece, my sister's kid, to kind of grow up a little bit more, because I know she really loves Halloween. So kind of once she gets to that age, she's 4 right now. But
Right.
once it gets that little bit older, maybe it can start taking her out and, show her Christian's kind of appreciation of Halloween and his love for,
Ah,
scary stuff and things like that. So,
sounds
yeah,
like
we'll
a
see.
plan. Thank you so much for talking to me tonight.
You're welcome, Regan. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's great.